In the darkest years of World War II, when Nazi Germany had crushed Europe under its iron boot, one photograph emerged that defied the logic of war. A man standing before a German firing squad, facing rifles pointed at his chest, and yet he smiled. His name was Georges Blund. For decades, the world has seen his picture, a thin, tired man in a coat, hands behind his back, and a calm, fearless smile. But the story behind that smile, the mission he refused to betray, the prisoners he helped save, and the sacrifice he made, remains one of the most overlooked acts of bravery in French history. This is the full, untold, real story of the French resistance fighter who looked death in the eyes and smiled. Georges Blund was born in 1904 in Dornach, a district of the city of Mulhouse in the Alsace region, a region that had been torn between France and Germany for generations. He grew up in a working-class family. His father was a textile worker, and Georges followed the same path. Alsace was a borderland of tension, culture, and war memories. Georges grew up hearing stories of German rule after World War I, stories about freedom, occupation, identity, all of which shaped his deep sense of patriotism. He wasn't a soldier, he wasn't a politician, he was an ordinary man, but one who refused to accept tyranny. In June 1940, France fell to Nazi Germany in just 6 weeks. Alsace, Georges' homeland, was annexed directly into the Third Reich. No Vichy rule, full German control. Immediately, the Nazis began Germanizing the region. French language banned, French signs removed, French books destroyed, French youth forced into German programs, Alsatian men conscripted into the German army. Resistance became dangerous, punishable by death, but Georges Blund refused silence. By 1943, Georges joined a local resistance network in Mulhouse. He wasn't a commander or strategist. He became valuable because of his local knowledge, connections, and courage. What he did? Gathered intelligence on German patrols, helped hide Jews fleeing deportation, transported secret messages, aided Allied pilots, helped coordinate escape routes into the Free Zone and Switzerland. His apartment became a safe house, his workshop a hiding place, his bicycle, his lifeline to the network. The Gestapo began hearing whispers of a man in Mulhouse helping enemies of the Reich. A shadow was closing in. In October 1944, just weeks before Allied forces would liberate the region, disaster struck. A local informant, whose identity is still debated by historians, betrayed Blund's resistance cell to the Gestapo. German agents raided several houses. On October 8, 1944, Georges Blund was arrested. He was taken to the Maison d'Arrêt de Mulhouse, a Nazi-controlled prison known for brutal interrogations. His fate was sealed the moment they took him in. Inside the prison, Georges was repeatedly interrogated. The Gestapo demanded names of resistance members, hideouts, escape routes, radio operators, Allied pilots he had helped. Blund refused to speak. Every day they pushed him harder. Every day he stayed silent. The Gestapo believed he must break eventually. They just needed the right method. That method became one of the most chilling psychological tortures used during the war: a mock execution.
Sometime around mid-October 1944, Blund was marched outside the prison. A German firing squad was assembled. A military photographer was ordered to document the moment. They wanted fear. They wanted panic. They wanted him to finally talk. Instead, they got something no one expected. Georges Blind smiled. Not a smug smile, not a defiant grin, a peaceful, human smile. A smile that said, "You will not break me." For the first time, the German soldiers themselves hesitated. The photograph, which still exists today, became the defining symbol of his bravery. Historians have debated Blind's smile for years. Some say he wanted to show the Germans they held no power over him. Others believe he wanted to comfort his fellow prisoners watching. Many think he knew it was a mock execution and laughed at their attempt to break him. But the most widely accepted interpretation? He smiled because courage was all he had left to give. In that moment, Georges Blind won the psychological battle. Even if his body was still a prisoner, his spirit was completely free.
Unable to entertain information and unwilling to execute him in Mulhouse, the Nazis decided to send him to Germany. Georges Blind was deported to Konzentrationslager Schirmeck-Vorbrick, a re-education and punishment camp in Alsace under SS control. Conditions there were horrific: starvation, daily beatings, forced labor, torture, execution of resistance members. Blind's health quickly deteriorated, but survivors later testified he never stopped encouraging others. He never complained. He never lost hope. His smile followed him even there. In late 1944, as Allied troops advanced, transport lists were rushed. Prisoners too weak to work were executed, were sent to their deaths. Georges Blind never came home. Records confirm he died in the camp, sometime between November and December 1944. He was 40 years old. France was liberated only a few weeks after his death. Despite his sacrifice, the world almost forgot his name. Almost. The photograph, the smiling prisoner before the firing squad, resurfaced after the war and became a symbol of resistance, courage, dignity, psychological strength, refusal to surrender.
Today, monuments in Mulhouse honor him. Schools are named after him. The French resistance archives preserve his story. Historians teach his smile as an act of rebellion. He didn't save hundreds of people directly, but by refusing to betray his network, he saved dozens of resistance members, prisoners, and civilians from certain death. His silence saved more lives than any weapon could. Georges Blind was not a famous general. He wasn't decorated with medals. He wasn't celebrated in his lifetime. He was an ordinary man who made an extraordinary choice to stand by his principles, to protect others, and to face death with a smile. In World War II, countless acts of heroism were buried in silence. But some stories shine through. Stories like this one. The story of a man whose courage was captured in one single photograph. A photograph that outlived the empire that tried to destroy him. This is the legacy of Georges Blind, a symbol of resistance, a symbol of human strength, a symbol of courage in the face of death. The man who smiled at the firing squad.